What's going on, everyone? Andres Gamboa here with another episode of the Ponytails Podcast 201. We did it. We crossed 200. Thank you all so much for listening and making it happen. We appreciate it. If you guys didn't hear the episode 200, we did a compilation of all our favorite ponytails up to this point. So hopefully you guys go back and listen to that one because it'll be a blast. And it's a little different than the norm for our usual. We didn't have a guest. It was just all our funniest stories that we thought or most memorable stories that we had on the show so far up to 200. But on to new stuff. Next house, right? As we say. So if this is your first episode, let me tell you a little bit about what we do here. What the heck is ponytails? What does that even mean? We interview people who sold books door to door for a company called Southwestern Advantage out of Nashville, Tennessee. Now, the company's been recruiting college kids to do this during their summers between college years, and they go 80 hours a week, door to door, selling educational books and websites now to help families with homework or get prepped for college or get prepped for kindergarten. It's a mix. Now, every student that does this program, sometimes between 1,500 to 3,000 of them go each summer to do this. And often from Europe, who also, they come here and they go to different parts of the United States to do this. They get to travel to different parts of the country and have some wild experiences doing this. Some people sold for one summer, some people have sold for 12 summers. Either way, we have them on the show to talk about their experience and see what they're up to now and how that experience has shifted and impacted their life at all, or for the good, for the bad, for the ugly. So hopefully you enjoy. We've had a blast with some of these stories, and it's been a really cool, life-changing experience for me. Hopefully you can go back and listen to some stuff and maybe something will resonate with you. But my guest today, Lucas Salazar, out of the University of Iowa, originally from Portland, Oregon, which is where I am currently living, and he is also at, was part of the Power Division back when we had the two organizations, main ones, back in the day in 2001, which was his only summer, 2001. His favorite Augmendino scroll is number 7, I Will Laugh at the World, and he is currently in performance. Not exactly, he just put performing for what he's up to now, so I guess we're going to find out. We don't do much pre-approach on this. It's just a conversation between two people who did this crazy thing, talking about shared trauma. So connection. Yay. We'll see you guys in a second when I'm back with Lucas. Man, this is an episode people should be watching instead of just listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
That intro.
This is one for video, y'all. Good to be here, Andres.
Thank you so much, Mr. Salazar.
Salazar, Lucas Briano Salazar.
Wait, what's your middle name?
But I'm guessing you're Briano.
Oh, Briano. I like that.
Yeah, like Brian with an O and then sort of Latinified. I'm guessing you get a lot of Andres. Just you go by Andres.
Andrea. Just the only time I really have a problem is when they say Andy, because I'm like, if you call me Andy, I get to write my name with a Sharpie on the bottom of your left foot. That's the rule.
I get Luke a lot, and I don't. It's just not my name, so I don't really like that too much. It's not like it bugs me, but it's not my name.
Yeah,
and my roommate's
Andy.
name is Luke.
The hell,
Andy and Luke here on the Book Selling Podcast.
Oh man, well, welcome to the show. I'm gonna drink some tequila, even though you're just having water. But here we go.
Let me see a down one.
Oh, dude, that's way too much. Okay, hold on. You want me to down one?
You can do it, Andy. You can do it, Andres.
All right, here
Senor
we go.
Gamboa.
I may have put too much tequila on that one. Okay, here's a shot worth. Okay, all right. Are you gonna take a shot of water while we do this?
Yeah, Amy, raise yours too if you're back there. Oh, nice.
That's me.
You?
Somebody
for real?
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Gifts. Cheers to you, sir. La raza or whatever.
Viva la raza.
Oh man, that's kind of cool.
Did you ever drink on the field?
Yeah. Oh yeah. My first summer I was on schedule. Second summer I was on schedule. Third summer, no, not at all.
I was decidedly off schedule. How many summers did you sell? I don't know anything about.
Oh yeah,
you.
We don't know any of this. 4 summers. I did 4 summers out of Nebraska. So I went to New York, Massachusetts, and then Vermont, New Hampshire, and Pennsylvania.
When was that? What years?
I sold 2012, 13, 14, skipped 15, came back for more, 16.
You skipped one and then went back, huh?
Yeah, brutal.
That's tough. That's like going back to the island.
Did it work out for the people in Lost? Did that work out? Or
I don't know. I know they went back to the island. Did it work out for Andres Gamboa?
Yes, and I mean it always works out. I suppose one way or the other. It works out
Well, then it worked
poorly,
out for the
but
people on the island too.
I think so. They went to heaven or whatever. I think it was just what they were trying to. That's way tangent, but yeah. You
Let's
sold in
stick to the issues.
2001.
Yeah, I sold in
2001.
2001,
I
and
was
that
I was
was, and it's 2023 now. So if we could have Amy do the math real quick on that one and get back to us for how far ago that was.
gonna carry the two.
20 some years, yeah. Flip that down and then logarithmically, I think.
We can look up in the math book to see what that is. Your alumni career is long enough to be drinking tequila with us on the show.
Yeah, right. And you said, forgive me for taking the wheel here for a second, but you said this is replacing the Southwestern alumni program where they perhaps aren't carrying the ball, but perhaps may have fumbled it a while ago. What do you mean? Did they have like this legacy program that they were going to carry out that never did, or just they never were going to?
So this is what I understand. Thank you for asking. By the way, this is great. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Trey George used to do he was like the head of alumni relations, whatever the hell that means. And then that went on to, after he left, that went on to Becky Bowman. I think I'm saying that right. Bowman or Bauman. And then after she left, it kind of just got like dropped. Then after that, the relationship between some alumni who did not leave and I don't know how you're like, we'll talk about this, but some people leave. When they leave, it's not like it's not like a ghost poop where you don't have to wipe. Sometimes it's like a really messy, runny dump out of.
I like how you were going to say amicable, but you were like, let me make it relatable to this guy here. It's like a ghost poop.
It's like a ghost poop. Some people leave like a ghost poop, no wipe, all good, and some people it's chorros. And so and so those people didn't really have anything to do or want to have anything to do with Southwestern as a company, but they still like really got along with other alumni. Whenever they met alumni, they would be still jazzed about the fact that they had somebody to connect with that way. And so at first this just was just like a hobby, but as we started doing this and the more people we got on, more episodes and stuff like that, we recognized that there was like this like desire for people or like interest in people to want to connect with other alumni, but nobody at the company was really doing anything. I mean, it's actually really interesting, but suddenly last week, as of this recording, the first ever alumni newsletter came out from Southwestern. So in 160 years, the first one came out a week ago for some reason. So
they just wanted to accumulate enough alumni.
Sure.
And now 160 years later, they got it. They hit their.
They're like, I think we have enough now. So they're which is cool to see. They're starting to like try to build a relationship, because there's some people out there with, which not to judge, but there's like some Southwestern daddy issues out there that are that they're not really happy to deal with the company, but again, they love dealing with alumni because we're cool people. I guess
Southwestern daddy issues, SWDI.
That's right, Stewie. Switty. But when you sold, my man, the Twin Towers were still up, is what I was mentioning before we started.
That's right. Yeah, we were going deep on just like the history of the Taliban earlier on, and talking about like, was George Bush off the mark with like focusing on Hussein when at the beginning it was Osama bin Laden, and Andreas had some great points. He was saying that it was an inside job, and he didn't see why the focus became on the Middle East and then all of the Iraqi war. What were you saying exactly about the Republicans in general, though? You were like throwing your fists around.
It was really throwing fists around is gentle a way to say it. I was having a tantrum, really, more than anything. Something Trump. I don't know, but
long live. Maybe, is that what you were saying?
Something like that. And living in Portland, it's difficult with that mentality. Really,
it is. Yeah, you got to scream that into a pillow.
Yeah. And then the pillow will yell at you going, I'm actually, you gotta address me with my pronouns. And you're like, all right.
Yeah. You can't speak freely into your pillow these
days. Has Portland always been like this?
Thanks, Barack. I don't know, man. I've been here since 2018. I imagine so, but it's certainly now the epicenter of certain political beliefs, which
it's kind of wild.
Yeah. Who knows? Dude. It's a cool place to be because you're getting the face full of that, but it's comical at times. Yeah. So I'd rather be here than somewhere that is this comically extreme on the other side.
Nebraska, Iowa.
Is it? Yeah, probably. Texas.
Yeah. The South. The speaking of comical, I do stand up, and I was doing an open mic here in Portland. And
Right on.
I
Where?
got a dose of it. I did a set at the Helium a couple weeks ago.
Are you doing classes and then doing like a showcase, or are you beyond that? Are you doing? Are you
I'm
booking
doing
your own gigs?
When I was in Lincoln, I was booking my own gigs. Then the pandy hit, which we've all heard, and then that kind of got derailed. And I moved here, and I hadn't gotten started. So this was like the first time I've really like trying to intentionally started to pick it back up. I did an open mic at like I think it was called. It's like on 82nd and I don't know, Flavel. No, maybe further north. Anyway, it's some bar, and it's brutal sometimes because you'll start and like the host will say, "All right, a couple rules, 5 minutes sets, and also no jokes that could be potentially offensive to someone in the audience."
And that wasn't in the pre-approach that they gave you beforehand?
No. And I was like, what the?
You're like, all right, well, no jokes that might be offensive. What kind of horse shit is that?
So I got up on stage and I was like, all right, I was going to tell that Jew joke, but nope, there goes that. There goes that joke about brown people. Here's that joke about white people.
Were they good jokes? That's my time. Did they save you? That's my time. You spent the whole time like, okay, no.
Just crossing off lists. Yeah. But that was at that open mic. But then I went to the Helium and I actually did like my regular set and it was a blast. I mean, it was cool. So I'm going to try to keep doing that. And then my goal is to just keep doing that and eventually kind of like get to know some of the people in the scene in that spot and then try to get like a hosting gig there for when like big names come through, which is what I was doing in Omaha, or getting to in Omaha anyway.
Nice. I imagine Helium would probably still put the brakes up on, on some salacious material, but I imagine they just have more trust because like an open mic, anybody can get up there, and a lot of people might just say something outlandish just to say something outlandish because they think that's what comedy is. I imagine at Helium they have a bit more trust in the people who are going to be up there, so they don't gotta like, you can't say any of these colors and you can't say any of these directions.
Yeah, or pronouns and stuff. Yeah, but here's the deal: like my stuff isn't even that offensive. It's like the joke that the guy at the other place got mad about. I have a bit about how Ariel is the worst Disney princess, and it goes into that. But before I like my intro to that is I am mad that they gave black people Ariel, not because she's black, but because she's the worst Disney princess. So it has nothing to do with like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's kind of like the setup to kind of grab attention. Oh boy, the host who was black did not enjoy my set.
You're talking about at the open mic?
At the open mic, not at the Helium, but at the other place I did it. The one
even that after scrapping your offensive material, and you had that left, using that, even that was too much for him. That
was too much
for the open mic.
And by the way, that's my most offensive joke, if you want to even call that offensive. And I'm like, that's whatever. All right, whatever.
Yeah,
Portland. You know what I'm saying?
Portland.
It is what it is.
Well,
but on the other hand, the
food
is
doing
bomb,
Portland. Someone's got to do it.
Yeah. I'm not mad about it. I understand. It's just new for me because where I came from in Lincoln, it was like full free speech. We'll just say it that way. But anyway, let's roll back the clocks. Talk about you a little bit. 2001. How the heck did you first get into Southwestern and what happened?
Andres, my boy, I'm glad you asked. So I was living in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, and my girlfriend at the time was going to the Maharishi Institute.
Hold on. It's like living in Grand Island, Nebraska. It's not Grand or an island. There's no mounts. There's no Pleasant in Iowa. Is that?
That's true. There was a perch where you could hunt from, but past that, the topography was pretty
Mounts is generous. Okay.
Mount is generous,
Your girlfriend.
So my girlfriend goes to the Maharishi Institute of Management in Fairfield, and she introduces me to her friend Thane, who had just that day got back from selling in I don't know, somewhere. And so he had just got back, and I just met him, and I remember just hearing the briefest idea, they ran full speed from door to door, and they worked 14 hours a day, and didn't know where they were going to live. So I heard the finer points of it that made it sound like fake or weird or unintelligible. But
pyramid.
I didn't even think that yet. I'm just this doesn't sound like, I think you're exaggerating everything you're saying. But yeah, it wasn't until I was actively recruited by the gentleman thing where it felt like pyramid-y and just some of the grosser parts of capitalism, which it remains the feeling I can tell that. And still, Robert Hicks, who was also, this was Eliab Cohen's first year too. I don't know if you know him very well. I know you interviewed him, and I know he gave you my number. He was a clown.
Yeah.
A good clown, a clown in a good way. And we were both clowns. But so after a while, I still wasn't sold on it. Every day I was like wishy-washy on it. Maybe, I don't know. And then finally I just decided I probably needed to make a big decision. So I said yes. And I'm glad I did it. I don't really dig the way they do business. I think they do well for a lot of people, but I think it's as predatory as sales can be a lot of times. But I don't dislike the time I had with it, and I took away good lessons from it. But I mean, had I known what I was getting into fully, I wouldn't have done it.
Whoa, tell me more about that. You're the first person that's really like spoken up about this so far, believe it or not. I mean, because there's like people on the web out there that I've invited to be on the show who are giving me this totally negative, not totally negative, but like they're predatory. They're like using words like that, but they don't want to come on and talk about it. I'm like, I mean, everyone's more than welcome to, right? This is an open experience. It's an open platform for anybody's experience and from everybody's perspectives to just hear about how do you view it, because I'm interested in this. Sure. So what do you define? Give me some more details, or can we chat about that?
Sure. Predatory, I mean, it sounds a bit extreme. It's more like any sales is ultimately you don't really care if the person you're selling to needs your product. You want to sell this product. So whether it be like the people in the book field or it's the manager trying to recruit this new fresh fish, or it's that district sales manager trying to get them all in, like, they're selling you on the idea, selling the sizzle, and then they've got you, and they kind of want what you can bring them financially. So I think that, along with the indoctrination of the sales school, is, I mean, there's so much of that is like directly parallel with what some might consider cult-like, or some might consider predatory, or just like snake oil sales. And you get wrapped up in it, man. The utter positivity, they're replacing your language. You don't say this, you say this kind of thing. I mean, that's like textbook cult stuff. That's what the Church of Scientology does. And I'm sure any sales school does. But I didn't agree with a lot of it, but I knew I needed to try something big. And I mean, I walked out of there with dog shit for money, and
interesting.
It's fine. And I'm not I imagine if I would have made more money, if the effort I would have put in would have yielded more money, then I would have a different feeling on it, maybe. But I mean, you put in a lot of work, and the majority of people, I imagine, aren't hitting those numbers that they're telling you that you could make. So I feel like, they don't care who they're getting, as long as they get that letter of credit and then they've got a body in there, they're going to get their nut. And good for them. I mean, if you're a salesperson, or if you're a sales company and you present your product that well, then good for you. You've done what you meant to do. You probably upset and upturned a lot of people's summers, and you probably, without necessarily lying, you probably fooled and misled a lot of people, and that's sales. And that's capitalism. So good for you for doing what the country's asking you to do.
No, that's interesting. So a couple of things on this. One, and this is not to, like I said, we remain pretty neutral to Southwestern in general, because we see, we've heard from just this experience of both sides of this coin, right? But I would say, one, I think a lot of that's changed in the last 4 or 5 years. The leadership within the DSM world has definitely changed, so that is not the case as much anymore. Now, I've said that, so let me go into what you said. In the years between like 19, we're really probably up until 2014 even, there was that for sure. Like you could easily say that Southwest, is it a cult? No, but you could see it from there, right? They put the cult in culture. You know what I'm saying? Like it was, you know what I'm talking about. And there's no, I mean, people.
I wouldn't give them the credit of calling them a cult. I would just say that there's
no. It's actually interesting. I got a call. There's 3 people now that have contacted me who are doing cults. One of them is like studying cults in their master's program. Some girl messaged me and was like, or some woman messaged me and was like, "Hey, I'm doing this," and someone.
And they're like, "Can I see the scrolls of Augmentino real quick? I just want to cross-reference some things." We found some scrolls underneath the Rock of Prudential, and we wanted to just...
Landers Plaza. Yeah. But yeah, there's I wonder if this is actually a theme. I haven't really talked to that many people who sold in like the early 2000s, especially as their first initial years.
Mm,
I've talked to a lot of people that sold in the 90s, a lot of people who sold in the late 08s, like 07, 08, or 09 and later, but like that the early 2000s where this seemed to be the most, I'm just going to call it toxic part
yeah.
of Southwestern's run. um Not many people have come on to the show that sold in that era, and so we've had some, but I feel like during that time frame that you're speaking of, that's why. It's because a lot of people were like really burned in a not, in a really, could be really detrimental, traumatic way, that then ended up really resenting the company for a lot of reasons, justifiably, right? And so then
Hmm.
it's, they had the same taste in their mouth like you do. The Kool-Aid was nice, but the aftertaste brutal. And so I'm glad that you're sharing this, because this perspective is important. There is something to be said about this, because there's a part of the alumni community that understands what you're talking about, and it resonates through really a lot of the people that we've talked to on the show. It's just not everyone felt it as strongly, or it wasn't as clear to them as that.
Yeah.
So when you were you aware, like when did you first become aware of that? Like when did you first realize, oh, this is when did you first feel like this? Was it during, before, after, or like?
Well, everything I'm going to say, I'll preface with like, I sold that 1 year, so my perspective only points to my experience and maybe like
Oh
the
yeah,
people who I knew each year. So, but
yeah, that's fair.
So Robert Hicks, who was the DSM, was he had a bow tie, I think a gold tooth. Like if you were going to draw a snake oil salesman, like a bamboozler, like Lyle Landley on The Simpsons, who came and sold him the monorail. If you were going to draw someone, he would be
That's a
who you would
great
draw.
episode.
Right. We sold books in Ogdenville, and he had a thick Southern accent. He had all these Southernisms, and like was just like oozing with like trying to charm you, sort of thing. And again, that's sales, and I'm sure that works for a lot of people. But I imagine once I got the letter of credit, because they were always saying you got to get that letter. Nothing matters till you get the letter of credit, and they're super nice to you leading up to the letter of credit. But once someone else's ass is on the line for the money, then they can like start getting a bit more like, okay, now we're not trying to sell you on anything. We're gonna make our nut here. So that's what like. That's when the shift came, where I thought, okay, it's they're not as nice anymore. And then I think just like through experiencing it, like I wasn't like smart enough to have this premonition of like, wait a minute, something's afoot. Just in doing it, seeing the work we were putting in, and really, like I happen to not really like a lot of the, what are they, field managers? Is that the people who are selling books who were with you? I just didn't like a lot of them very much, and it seemed like a lot of people who like love the movie Boiler Room and probably like loved Wall Street or something, and it wasn't my scene. And I'm not going to say it's a bad company. I'm not going to say that like they lied to me even. I can get bamboozled by a good salesperson, and when I find myself in that position, I could see where I feel like, oh, I was misled here. This question was answered in a certain way to sell me, and that's how it goes. So I don't blame anybody, and I'm glad I went through it. Like I'm glad I didn't quit, but I'm also glad I didn't go back. I always think about at the end of the summer when you're doing all your turning in your tickets and shit. I remember the Robert Hicks saying, Lucas, why should I allow you to come back next summer? And that was kind of like the last straw. I was like, why should you allow me to come back? But
Get
you
out of
shouldn't.
here.
Yeah. And
No, I understand
that sort of cockiness in it was like, come on, guys, just get over yourself.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I know I am. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the people that make this show possible, the people that bring this show to you. These are people who all sold books, and we're here to give a quick shout out to them in a spotlight about their company and what they're up to. So if you're interested, or if after listening to this you're kind of wanting to know a little bit more, feel free to click on the links below to connect with these people. These are from an excerpt I have with them from a podcast that I do on the side. It's called Executive Exercises, where we take all our sponsors and they come into a think tank and share some awesome ideas about how to grow their business, specifically on different topics. Go check that out. But I pulled some of the comments that they had explaining what they do and who they're looking for on their companies. And so if that sounds like you, like I said, click below. Hope you enjoy. So that's yeah. And so money wise, and it just seemed like it was going to be the leads, which I wanted to go back to that because you mentioned this, and that's another thing that maybe Southwestern people don't understand is leads. That's kind of like you're saying, basically, imagine you show up to a town to sell books, you send a postcard out to every single family that has kids in school or young children, asking them if they struggle with any of the following subjects, yes or no. Would you be interested in hearing about a product that might help you with all those subjects, yes or no, name and address, and then you just waited at your HQ for like a couple of weeks, and then you got in the mail like 700 people returning that postcard saying, come to my house, here's where I live. Hi, are you the mom of the house? Yes, and you've heard of you. Great.
Yeah. Is this your handwriting, Miss Betty? Yeah, that's my handwriting.
yeah.
You got a few minutes? It's, again, you're not selling every single lead that you sit down with, but the leads is kind of what interested me, because that kind of anxiety feeling that I talked about at Southwestern and the anxiety I had with Family Heritage, I honestly didn't think that was going to go away, but it has. It's gone away when I sold. I still had a little bit of anxiety, but after that first knock, it goes away. But much less anxiety every week, because I know I have fresh leads coming in. And so even if this day doesn't work out, I know I got, typically our agents will get anywhere from 25 to 50 leads a week of people that they can go and call on.
I want people to understand what it is that you do, how you do it, why you do it, all of the good stuff. You hear a lot about coaching. You hear a lot about life coach, sales coach, business coach, yada, yada coach.
Man, I think just to start off, like what it isn't, it's not training. It's not showing up and having somebody talk at you for 45 minutes to an hour. And like the way that I look at it is we're all human beings. We're all broken in some capacity. And we all know a lot of the people that I work with, they know what they're supposed to be doing. They're just not executing on it, or they're not doing it as intentionally as they should be. Or they're just not focused. They have like 15 different goals or 15 different things that they're trying to balance or do. And because of that, like they're not as intentional as they should be at home, or they're not as intentional as they should be at work, and they're not picking up the phone and calling people. And it's like having a personal trainer for your business. It's having intention on why we do what we do every day, and creating clarity and helping to build our lives and our calendars around what our future goals and intentions are.
That'll do for now. Like I said, make sure you click below to get some more information. And now back to the show. Yeah, see, and that's like I said, that's something that's changed a ton. Where it's like now it's like, hey, you shouldn't come back. Like they'll tell people straight up, like, hey, you're done.
because of the way they performed.
Well, yeah, I think what's happened, and we can talk more in detail about this if you know, just to talk about this. But I think what ended up happening is the company started turning over. Is what happened. Like the DSMs that were there when you were there and through like 2015 started kind of leaving, moving on. And so then the younger generation started moving up and becoming DSMs, and they heard and witnessed a lot of their friends kind of quit and have this bitter feeling. So there was like change demanded, right? There was like, hey, we just bring people out for the sake of having a body out there to just knock on a door.
That's cool.
Now, I will say that's not across the company yet, but there's definitely like, and maybe I'm over speculating here, but it feels to me from what I understand that there's like a house divided, where there's still the old school way of thinking about it in a lot of different organizations within the company. But then there's like a whole different group of people that are like, no, like, well, we should let people go that aren't, this wasn't for them. Like you can tell there's also less people going out that you can definitely tell shouldn't go out. You know, because this is the case for me. Like my first summer, second summer, even there was kids that were coming out in our org that I remember thinking like, how did this person get selected? "Quote unquote selected," right? Like it was like, you shouldn't be here
because they
not to
sign a letter of credit.
Yeah, right. And so that was the case. And within, even when I was there's still other organizations that I remember they would say things like you're saying, like what we should ask people, like why we should allow them to come back. And in my head, I'm like, that is so cheese, right? The whole sales technique that they train is this buying atmosphere where, you know, you let people choose to say no if they want to, right? When they're selling the books. But it's like, where is that internally? Where are we telling our kids that are coming back, hey, it's totally cool if you leave, right? Because yeah, it
wasn't that. There was the answering rebuttals thing. Okay.
Yeah,
I show you miss your family.
I understand how you feel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know how you feel. Yeah.
Let me draw on this notebook why you shouldn't leave.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is, from what I understand, I was in a weird place because I started in 2012 and ended in 16. So I kind of watched this transition from the one end, what you experienced, to the other. Cool. And so when I left, I was like, oh, hopefully, like in my opinion, the only way that the company can survive is if it makes those changes. Because the problem is social media is real. now. And so you have all these, if you like literally YouTube Southwestern Advantage, the first like 2 or 3 videos are people telling like, this is why I got scammed. This is why Southwestern's a cult. Like, and I mean, when you were doing it, they could get away with that because nobody was posting on Instagram about how shitty their experience was. Right.
Yeah. This is a cult. The very first video says this is a cult.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's a problem that they have to, that's not my issue, right? That's their issue. And in order to avoid that issue, they got to change. They got to evolve to be not predatory like you're saying, because I 100% agree with what you're saying. Those things were real. And I knew of other DSMs, not mine, thankfully not mine, but there's other DSMs that I knew of the company, other friends that I had that when they left, they had the exact same things to say that you did. And so it's for sure a problem. It was for sure a problem, even more so. But I think because, like I said, because of social media, because of the fact that people can just go post and share this and it gets shared really quickly, I think that it's kind of forcing their hand to be like, yo, this has got to be different. Otherwise the PR is just not going to be able to be contained right on that.
That makes sense. Front. Yeah. You have to adjust your curtain once the curtain's been like peeled back by social media or anything.
YouTube. By
YouTube. Yeah. That's like what WWE did, man. They had to change their whole business model from like keeping kayfabe to go to wrestling for a second, like keeping the believability, like the Undertaker isn't Undertaker or anything like this. Like now the social media is everywhere. They have to roll with that punch and go, okay, well, these are real people with characters. Yeah. So everybody check it out and be part of it. Now engage with the people on social media. Like they rolled with it and that worked. And I imagine because when I was with Southwestern, maybe once did I hear anyone say like, why can't I just use the internet? Like that's how not widespread it was and not ubiquitous it was. Now I mean they must have changed what they're doing, right? Are they still like selling just books?
No, it's like web-based stuff. I mean, the books are still part of the menu, but it's largely a lot also based on web stuff.
Tell me in a nutshell, what's Southwestern selling now? I can't imagine.
It's more like Cliff Notes for homework now. It used to be like reference guides, right?
Exciting.
Reference stuff. Yeah, but now it's more like Cliff Notes, where it's like Khan Academy, but a little bit more focused, a little bit more direct. And they've also partnered the last thing I sold that I was like, this is a sick product. Like actually was like, I had a lot of conviction in this, which is probably why I sold that the most, was they partnered with the Princeton Review for the ACT prep course, which is like a really legitimate, Princeton Review is a pretty legitimate pre-training course. But
TBR,
what they did is, instead of like having the student go to the classroom and take the course, they basically did a CD format for like a third of the price, and then just had it be a at home thing. So for kids who were really disciplined and really had the means, which were the kids that were interested in being better in the SAT anyway, they can do it at home and proctor the exams with their parents and that stuff. So that was a really cool product. And I'm like, this is like legit nice. Like the other set of books, it just pick your poison as far as the family goes. Some kids would totally use it, some wouldn't. And that was part of the deal, that you always knew that when you sold something, it's like, there's a chance they won't use this, and they just spent $400. But
I was fairly certain that anybody I sold to, 1 out of 20 would maybe use it. The rest of them, I just like, they're bad with money. And I did a good sales pitch.
Absolutely. And it's a good sales pitch, but at the end of the day, it's like, all right, now they have these paperweights, which is great. Better than some baseball bat that might never get. It's the same thing. People spend money on dumb shit anyway. So, but no, back to what you were saying from the standpoint of like, why should I allow you to stay? That's such a, I mean, you say that, I'm like, oh, like, because I remember that feeling, and hearing about this and going, oh, I can totally see and hear that. And when, did you hear that?
Every day, man, every day in my city.
It's probably some unhoused person that's yelling at some lady with a baby in a park.
It may be. Well, I'm happy to hear the cops out at all.
Honestly, yeah. But this is fair. But I hear what you're saying about that. When I haven't asked about this, but I'm curious to hear, why are you glad you did this? Like, what was it? What made it worth it for you?
Good question. I mean, I think some of like the overarching ideas that it promotes that I was able to make my own. One's like, solve your fucking problem. Like if you're out there, solve your problem yourself. Of course, that's sort of like, that's pushed anywhere, but in the book field, you sort of had to do that. Like there's no one there. You got to figure out how to do it. And like when I was selling, I would live with two other people, and one person had a cell phone and I wasn't one of them. So like you couldn't ring someone up real quick, couldn't check anything. Like you just had to solve your problem. And there were times when there were, little issues to deal with that you had to. I think it also, for probably the first half of the summer, like I worked like I was supposed to. I kept the hours I was supposed to, pretty regimented, and that's hard work. And that definitely, like, it was a sense of pride doing that. It definitely gave me a sense of I could, talk to anybody. I suppose whatever that gave me, whatever I could talk to anybody since that gave me has worn off, but I've gotten that in other ways. And it's an experience like no other. It's a pretty niche experience that I'm happy to have gone through. And that always feels nice. It's a good story. It's a lot of good stories. But overall, I think like the positivity thing of it, which was a little bit gross, was helpful. Yeah. But the just like solve your problems, figure it out was a nice one as well. Yeah. And because I did it and I didn't quit. I like that too.
Why didn't you? It sounds like it would have been you sound like the prime person to have been like, fuck this. I'm out. Like, why?
Probably now I would. I guess I had a bit more persistence in those days, and I had like confused enough people by saying like I'm gonna go do this who were like, what? Why? This sounds weird. And I was like, I don't want to hear it. I'm just gonna go. That it would have been a knock on my pride and maybe my integrity to like quit in the middle of it. A number of people did quit. I didn't really think of that as an option. I would definitely think of it as an option if I did it with the mindset I have now. But at that time I was like, oh, okay, only 8 more weeks to go. Or only 7 more weeks to go, and then I'll be done. So I didn't really think of it as an option. And that's not like a testament to my gumption or anything like that. I just never considered it an option.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I don't think it was a good option for me either. I just was like, I might as well just finish. It's just 3 months. It's really not that long, relatively to like life. So it's just like,
I wanted to go to Cancun.
Did you make the Sizzler trip? Did you do enough?
What's funny is that like on these little bits of pushing, I was like, however many units it takes to get to the Sizzler trip, I was like 1 set of books short. So Robert Hicks had me buy a set of my own. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. The Sizzler was fun though. That was all cocaine. Cheap cocaine.
Cool. Yes, Mexican, which is probably Colombian, honestly.
It sucked, man. Like the Sizzler trip though, that sucked. That like
really?
Yes. Well, because first of all, I wasn't a big clubber, and that's all it was. We're going on the booze cruise tonight, and tonight we're going to the Coco Bongo Club, and then tomorrow we're going to like the whole thing was like, let's go drink, which seemed to be everybody's prime directive there, which I get it. Like we're a bunch of just horny, energetic college students. Yeah, why not do that? But so I didn't go on most of those. I just got a lot of blow from the taxi drivers. And the last night we were there were a lot of reports of employees at the hotel like coming into people's rooms. They came into my room once. Like I was laying in bed. They opened up the door, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just going around telling people to lock their doors." And I'm gullible, so I was like, "Oh gosh, thank you very much. Yeah, I'll lock it." But the last night we were all out at whatever club, and we got back, and fucking an entire floor's rooms had all been robbed. I don't like my video camera was gone, some cash, some passports, but like the entire wing of this place. And like I think they'd spot robbed us, throughout the week, but like that last night they got everybody. So everyone's freaking out. The next morning we're supposed to leave. And I remember Eliab, who we interviewed earlier, I think his dad was a real businessman. So he kind of took the bull by the horns. And he was at the front counter saying, like, I want you to call all the employees who were here last night, bring them here and ask them where our stuff is. And essentially they were like, all right, you guys are leaving in a half hour. You guys are leaving the country in a half hour, and we're never going to see you again. Yeah, we'll get right on that. Yeah, lates, guys. So that was a bit, that left a bitter taste in my mouth for like Cancun, or more like the American experience in Cancun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so overall the Sizzler trip was like
Mexicans, man. I'm just kidding.
It wasn't my vibe. But I wanted to go on it. I chose to go on it.
That's cool. Interesting. Well, if you come to Sizzler, you won't get robbed. I promise. We stay at much nicer
what's
resorts. Sizzler is an idea that a lot of people had tried to do, but thanks to just a platform that we're able to build through this, we were like, hey, we're gonna go on like a nice alumni reunion, just hanging out with a bunch of people, having fun, just chilling. Nothing too. The intention is not to go get hammered. It's just more to just hang out with alumni. So this is an alumni reunion, but in Cancun. Well,
is it
I
always
guess last year was Cancun. No, last year was our first ever one. Was last year was in Cancun. This year we're going to Jamaica. So
you're still going?
Yeah, we're putting it on. We put it on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, how neat.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Feel free to come. I mean, buying atmosphere here. Why should I allow you to come?
Well, because I work hard and I hit steak day and like I got my Mort tattoo and my Og tattoo and my Roger Sipe tattoo. Do you guys, is Sipe still part of it? Of the whole gestalt?
Sipes moved on. He's actually done an episode with us. It was a great episode, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
He was probably he was definitely my favorite part of he was one of my favorite parts of sales school. I liked his energy. I remember the gate philosophy. I can't remember what it was, but my favorite part was all those old videos of Ronald McDonald. What was it? More.ly. Yeah. Yeah. The story he told about a kid having he was selling puppies, I believe. Do you know the story I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. Thinking big. That's the story of thinking big.
Yeah. Basically, you got to think big. So just come up with the worst business plan you can, and just get screwed over. Take a couple $5,000 cats. I can't find that anywhere online though. I can find this manure. There must be a pony. I found that one, but I can't find the puppy one.
It's there. They have the full keynote address on the Southwestern YouTube channel.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
You've got to have positive expectations.
That's right. That's so good. That's a good.
Not Ronald McDonald, the Colonel. The Colonel. That's what I meant because he's got the white suit.
He's got the white suit. Now, in an abstract form, that's where our name comes from, Ponytails, as you can probably guess, but because there's got to be a pony somewhere. And
what about that tricycle? It's probably going to break a wheel. Probably fall down, break my arm.
Dude, man, that's so good, dude. Yes, that was awesome. You know what would be fun to do is to put more that's keynote speech in an AI, and then just have it say things. Like we can have Mort do our ads.
Maybe I can just redo his keynote speech, and then you can put it on your site.
Dude, do it. We should. That should just be an episode where we just do transcribe it and just have you read it, and you just do the whole.
You got Mort Utley's grandson, Blanc Utley. The entire lineage was just named after onomatopoeias of some horseshit. This is Skork, Plap, Doof,
Squash,
and Squash Utley.
Oh my God!
Did Amy sell books? Man. Amy is there, right? Did Amy sell books?
No, she did not. She's our honorary.
Oh, gee, this must be super exciting for Amy.
It's wild. Well, actually, Amy's kind of our litmus test to see how good this podcast could do once we're kind of bigger. I mean, I have dreams, right? You can only dream. But in my head, listen, if Tiger King can become a worldwide success for the craziest story ever told so far, then the stories that we get from people sharing this could be kind of that niche thing where it's just so outlandish, the fact that people do this job, that a normal person is just like, wow, this is fascinating.
Do you ever make do you make compilations of these, like craziest stories or grossest stories or most uplifting stories? Like, do you do those ever?
Our last episode, as of after this recording, will be like our 200th episode was, I should say, now that this is out, by the time this is out, that we'll take like the craziest stories. I mean, we've had some banana stories on here, man, which I was going to ask you about. You said you had a bunch of stories from your first and only summer. Of course, your ponytail I would like at the end, but I was going to open up that, like, some of the craziest memories that you had, if you wanted to share those. But to answer your question, yeah, that's in the works of, like, we have, just so you know, the average episode is like an hour and a half to 2 hours, and we've had 201 now. So you can imagine the amount of content that we can use to recap some of these crazy. And that's actually our project for this quarter and into second quarter is like just go pull from these and just try to find the funniest, craziest ones, just to kind of like throw shorts out there and have them be like our, sizzle getting attention getting.
Do you got any sponsorship or anything? Are you getting paid from this?
Yeah. Yes, sir. We have as of now, well, as of by the end of this season, we would have ended with 6 total sponsors. By the beginning of season 9, it'll be probably more. And all of them are alumni. So what happened was we got big enough where people started reaching out, just random companies to be like, hey, you have enough viewership and you're getting enough attention. We'd like to like have you feature our product, or we'll pay you to save a 30-second spot about this. And that's when I knew I'm like, oh, we got something good going.
Nice.
And then instead of accepting those offers, we just went back towards the alumni community and some of the previous guests that we've had and said, hey, would you like to promote like your company or whatever your product is on here? And they were like, yeah, because our audience is obviously mainly pretty niche to.
Wait, instead of the sponsorship, you just asked the alumni like to price match them or something, or what?
No, I just basically I was like, if I'm gonna like promote something, I'd rather promote an alumni who's doing a really cool thing in the community or somebody who's doing a really cool thing.
Oh, so the companies that approach you were like, that's a great idea. No, thank you. But hey, do you guys want to promote?
Yeah. So all our sponsors are either so for example, one of them is Southwestern Real Estate, which Pat Roach shares our view. Like I said, you know how I said there was like a split camp of like how we should. He's on.
Are you old school Pat Roach or are you new school Pat Roach?
He's new school.
Okay.
Pat is very new school and he believes in what we're doing. He believes in the transparency of this, which is one thing I told all our people where I was like, hey, look, before you sponsor us, make sure that you enjoy. And so Pat listens to every single episode. He's a big fan. So he was a fan first before he was a sponsor. Another one is Cardinal Senior Benefits. And they're like, Quentin Roberts is the main guy spearheading that, but he's like, they do insurance. They're not related to Southwestern in any way, but they were like, hey, this is really cool. And like, we believe in what you're doing. We want to pay to like, just talk about what we're doing here. And so as long as they're somehow involved with an alumni, and they want to pay us, we'll do an ad or we'll do a collaboration or some sort of thing for them. And that's how we've been able to monetize. And I feed my dogs this way, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine Southwestern alumni, especially new school folk, probably come up with some good business ventures, and there's probably some success going on there, and a good place to look for sponsors. Yeah,
one of them is we've been talking to Dave Rosen about maybe partnering with us because he's running a cannabis company now here in in Vegas and in Bend. Yeah. By the way, if you go to Bend, check out Jenny's. Is a dispensary out there in Jenny's. In
Jenny's. In Bend. See, Dave Rosen, the guy who recruited me, Thane Ferrier, his manager was Dave Rosen, and he always had so many good things to say about him. He always said he was a stud. Like 9 seasons, I think, something like that.
Yeah, he's a stud, and he
not seasons, like 9 summers.
Summers, yeah. He ended up working for the Clintons. Then he got arrested.
Got arrested?
Yeah, because he was their campaign fund manager. And ended up he was innocent, but the people who he kind of was a fall guy, and he was able to prove his innocence in court. And he was like the ticker symbol on CNN for a while there in 2003. It was bananas, bro. It was
nice. He told us press is good press.
And press is good press. And now he runs a cannabis company, and it's fucking wild. It's pretty cool.
Way to go, Dave Rosen. I've heard your tales.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I know I am. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the people that make this show possible, the people that bring this show to you. These are people who all sold books, and we're here to give a quick shout out to them in a spotlight about their company and what they're up to. So if you're interested, or if after listening to this, you're kind of wanting to know a little bit more, feel free to click on the links below to connect with these people. These are from an excerpt I have with them from a podcast that I do on the side. It's called Executive Exercises, where we take all our sponsors and they come into a think tank and share some awesome ideas about how to grow their business specifically on different topics. Go check that out. But I pulled some of the comments that they had explaining what they do and who they're looking for on their companies. And so if that sounds like you, like I said, click below. Hope you enjoy. That's okay. And actually, and this is good to, I had Nick kind of explain this a little bit too, but because I've been in the insurance industry before, for people who are listening, like, how do you make 115% commission?
The way I explain it to people is the insurance companies we represent. So we're a broker. All these companies we work with, they know they're not really going to be making any money off the sales that I make for the first several years. but they don't care about that. They know these clients are going to be on the books for 10, 15, 20, 25 years. So they know they're going to make money over the long haul. And so part of the reason agents are able to make so much is there's all these companies out here and they're all competing for the broker's business, because these companies don't actually have their own in-house sales force. They have independent contractors. And so if their compensation or their commission levels that they offer aren't competitive, I'm not going to place any business with them.
Hello, off schedule moment. Wanted to tell you about Southwestern Real Estate. They're 99% drama free, only 99, not 99.9. So it's a bit spicy, kind of like this episode. Anyway, they will learn you to kick ass at real estate. So make sure you guys click the link below, get in touch with them. Okay, back to work. Bye. That'll do for now. Like I said, make sure you click below to get some more information. And now back to the show. Yeah, there you go. But anyway, okay, so let's see. I want to hear some of your favorite stories or some of your like most memorable stuff, but save your best one for the ponytails, because I want to talk about these stories. Then we'll talk about what you're up to now, then the ponytails. Is that cool?
Sure.
Keep an eye on the clock.
Yeah, none of mine they were fun for me because they were personal, but I've heard a lot of stories that mine don't compare to. I remember my very first customers, Eric Skoltons. I sold like an $80, not the Mufu, but do you know the books I'm talking about? The Mufu, like the My Fun with Words and stuff. You know those?
Ask-me's? Do
What's
I
that?
know the Mufus? Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know if they were still going, because there was like three. There was like the Power Library 1, 2, 3. There's the Mufu, and then there was one in the middle.
Ask-me's.
Ask-me's, yeah.
And the Explore and Learns. There was two. There was like a level up. There was like two of them.
Yeah, like sold him that. I thought that was great. And then I was in Owensboro, Kentucky. Now I kept telling everybody when I would sell it and we were writing down the receipts thing, I'd always say birthplace of John Brennan. John Brennan, of course, the country singer, the 18-year-old country singer on The Real World 2, Los Angeles, the second season of The Real World, of which I have seen all the episodes many times. I didn't even know it was the birthplace of Johnny Depp at the time. I should have said that. It's also some race car driver's birthplace, Waldrip or Dick Waldrip, whatever. But it was a
Dick
I had never
Waldrip?
seen. No, Dick Trickle is a. I was thinking it was him, but it was some Waldrip or something like that. There's some funky names there.
A very unfortunate name.
Yeah,
very unfortunate name. Sorry,
I imagine it's a stripper name.
Dick Waldrip.
I just remember there was some real poverty there, and there was some illiteracy there. There was some poverty. There was some just like some shanty areas, man. I hadn't seen that before. I was still pretty sheltered at that time. But like running into families where like the dad couldn't read and would aggressively not want the books and not want my sales pitch because he wouldn't say it, but like they couldn't read there. I had never seen that before. That was pretty eye-opening. I got to a point like where I couldn't do the pitch anymore. I didn't want to. This happened like the second half of my summer where I started being like, I can't anymore. And my sales started dipping after that. But I would tell, the name would get longer, but I would tell people that I was part of like the Owensboro City Commission welcome wagon. And I needed to talk to them about their lawn ornaments. That was one I would do a lot. Because they'd be like, I don't want any. I was like, oh, I'm actually not selling anything. I'm with the Owensboro City Commission welcome wagon. I just need to talk to you about your lawn ornaments. If you can come out here real quick. And then I'm like, oh, I got to come up with something. So there'd be like a gnome here and two gnomes here. I remember as like, this the City Commission just has a new ordinance where right now you've got too many lawn ornaments. So you have to take one away. And they're like, well, why would I have to do that? Across the street, they have 4. And I'm like, oh shit, they do have 4. Well, see, they've got 2 on the left and 2 on the right. You can have even numbers, but you've got 1 on the left and 1 on the right. And just for a symmetry thing, the City Commission really needs you to either get another one or take away one of these. Or I tell them I had a check for him. There was one woman I told, and this was mean because like sometimes I would just do it to people who didn't know any better. But I was like, Owensboro is looking to get your support to make the city of Owensboro 2 stories. So we're going to have a second story of Owensboro for all of our shops and all of our parking lots and all of our businesses. And the first floor will remain residential and with our driveways and parkways. And they would just say, I just don't think that's appropriate. I think, hey, I'm just here on behalf of the city. Good. I love that.
Like, you come up with that. That is so good, dude. That's just,
you got a lot of time out there to come up with things. And I knew I would come away from those being like, maybe that could have been a sale, but I feel better about myself. And I feel happier and better having done what I just did. as opposed to another. It's like, hey, you got to put it.
Pick up the bag. There it is.
Yeah,
He picked up the bag. He wiped his feet. Still there. Do you knock on doors and still step back 3 times and turn sideways? Because I still do. And
I think I do. Yeah. I think of it as like non-threatening.
Yeah. And it still works. I mean, it's actually get this.
Oh, Mrs. Jones, I'm that good-looking college kid who's been talking to all the families in Owensboro about the Power Volume 1, 2, and 3. Like the fairies down the way, they got Danny Christian in 3rd grade, or Micah down the road. He's just about to start middle school. Anyway, I apologize I'm talking so fast, but I got about 400,000 fucking family you got to talk to today. You got a place where we can sit down? Is that about right?
You nailed it, dude. And you gotta, if you're listening to this, you gotta just watch this on YouTube. Go to our YouTube or on Spotify. You can watch the video because your physical comedy is as good as your vocal, bro. That's good stuff, man. Wow, that's great. That's so good. My wife and I are about to buy a house on like 87th and Harney, like so Lentz, which is not, it's
the brave side of 82nd.
Yeah, the brave side of 82nd, up and coming. We'll just call it that. But it's a nice house, and it is. You can see the turnover. But because of that, I was like, "Hey, do you want to just go door to door and ask the neighbors if there's like what the crime rate has been like here, like if they've experienced any like break-ins or anything?" Because Portland, and like half a mile down the road, there's like a couple of RVs, not the RVs that people are listening to think of, but the Portland RVs. Where you're like, "Oh, these are not mobile.
That's not going to leave for yeah."
And so she's like, yeah. So we go door to door. And again, my wife didn't sell books. So I knock, step back 3 times, and she's like standing next to me. And again, this is the first time I've had someone following me, quote unquote, follow me since I sold. So I'm like, you got to back up.
Yeah, you got to back up. Just watch.
What are you doing? She's like, why are you turning sideways? I'm like, just okay.
God damn it, honey. Just let me do this. I know what I'm doing.
I'm like, babe, just okay, come on. And we went and after that we got back in the car and we talked to a couple of neighbors. So it turns out the neighborhood's pretty safe, but we got back in the car and she's like, so why do you turn sideways? And I'm like, well, and so like it was just a really interesting thing to explain. Yeah, just explaining all this. Oh man, just
why was the sideways turn? Was that so you weren't it was less aggressive?
Yeah, part of it. So basically most people are gonna just look at the window or like the side window, not just through the peephole maybe sometimes, but like there's like usually like a little side window. And the idea is that if you're like straight out facing forward, you're just kind of like awkwardly, like especially if you make eye contact with them. Now it's like a really weird situation. So you turn sideways so that they have the opportunity or the choice to open the door and talk to you instead.
Right.
So they talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise you're just kind of like, hey,
open your door.
Yeah, it's like weirdly weird. Yeah, just like
I'm in college. Yeah,
I'm trying to base for school. Do you have kids?
I remember like a couple of my field, not my direct manager, but the one who was one step up. His name is Zach Boucher, and he was the cockiest asshole I'd ever met. Man, he was such a pud. But he wanted us to like pud, yeah. And he had us do these, or he had some ideas for like silly things we could do at the door when they answer the door. And maybe this is Southwestern wide, but like one of them was like kind of fall over when they open the door, which I was like, why the fuck would I fall over when they open the door? That's not going to make them feel like I'm respectable. Another one was like, if they got flowers around, like snip the flowers and kind of stick your butt up. That one I could kind of see making sense. But we had this dude who was selling with us. I think his name is John Williams, but he was a pretty burly guy, like 6'2", 6'3", really, really deep voice, no charisma, just kind of talk like this all the time. But he would always do the fall over thing. But because like he had no charisma and no animation in his face, it just looked so strange to have this tall, beefy guy like stand there, and then they open the door, kind of fall over, and then without even giving any sort of smile, it's like, "Hi man, my name is John, and I'm a good-looking college kid. We've been talking." And so like the first second and a half, you're like, "What? Did you just go offline for a second and shut down? What are you doing?" And I thought maybe you shouldn't.
The Windows sound of the shutdown.
Yeah.
Boom.
I couldn't do any of that. And I remember like they would always say like, hey, everybody at 355 do a somersault or something like that, no matter where you are in the demo. I never did that. And I still to this day, I'm like, I wonder if anybody else did. I imagine some did. Did you?
I did that shit. My brother and I would do it. 3 o'clock roll, 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
But we didn't do the roll. What we would do is at 3 o'clock, be like, and weirdly enough, that you'd be on a sit down, and instead we'd go 1 second, and you just go to the front door, open it, and go, ah, just yell really loud, and then sit back down, and then Mr. Jones would be like, what? You could see their. I'm like, I don't know. My brother and I just yell at each other at 3 o'clock.
Oh, me and a couple of my friends were triangulating. We're just making sure that your door opens and swings quietly and everything, so we can come back later on. Yeah, I don't think I ever felt confident enough in my charm to be like, hey, real quick, I'm just gonna go do a somersault in your living room and come back and try and sell you $200 worth of books.
Yeah, it's the most fun I ever had with my brother was that we'd pretend he was like a mute, or we'd pretend he was like a only Spanish.
Wait, we partners? You guys going out together?
Yeah, he followed me a couple times, or I followed him. He sold, and so in fact, he's still selling. But whenever I'd follow him, I'd be like, "Hey, this time we're gonna just pretend like you don't speak English, so I'm just gonna translate." And I just say some bullshit, and so he'd be like, "Oh," and he'd say the sales talk back, and like, so the reason that he's been sitting there with all the families here, and whatever, Vermont. It was a blast. I mean, that was a way to kind of just mess around with it. One time we pretended that he and Mark Rao was the one that taught us this one, but we tried it. I'm like, this is Danny. He's been talking to all the families. He's a mute, so I'm here to translate, to speak on his behalf. But he's sitting there with all the families, and they'd be like, and just like Mark Rao said would happen, she was like, "Oh, we're not interested." I'm like, "Ma'am, he's not deaf. He's mute, so you can just And she'd be like, "Oh, okay. Do you have a card?" She'd be like, "Card?" And we're like, no." He's like, "Just no." So we'd get back in the car. They'd watch us get back in the car, and as we were gonna go back in the car, he'd be like, "Have a nice day," and we just get in the car and just go to the next house. So it's ways to have fun, but man, that's pretty good. You're a gnomes thing, man. That's next level, bro.
Take that one away, yeah. Did you? I imagine if you were out there 4 summers, like you had some like hubbies chase you down and tell you not to come back, or some run-ins with people who weren't too stoked about you being around.
Shotguns, especially when I was in upstate New York. That was really when I really got. Oh yeah. I mean, I knocked on the door, turned sideways, and you just hear, and you just like, "Hey, I'm just selling books, man. Like
I'm a mute. Hold on, I'm gonna do a cartwheel, then I'll tell you why I'm here. It's 3:55.
Is it 3 o'clock? Let me do that. Yeah. Yeah, it's just the what do you want? We don't talk to people like you. We're like, all right.
I remember a guy saying, like, a guy who wouldn't open the door, and I kept persisting. I knew there was no kids there, but I was like, this is fun. So I kept knocking. Like, it was a screen door, I could see him. And I remember on my last knock, he went, "Honey, call the damn 911." And I just never heard it phrased that way, and I still say that all the time. But call the damn 911.
But here's what's funny about that. Here's what's really funny about it. He said 911, not knowing what that was going to mean in a couple of months.
You're really hung up on this Twin Tower thing, man.
No, man. Listen, the last thing that happened.
No, man, because listen, dude, 9/11. You take the numerology of those numbers.
That's right. You went to checkout, and then the next month, shit happened. I mean, that wasn't even in the books you sold. There's people with books that you sold them that don't have that in the history of.
Yeah, right.
Now it's in all the.
My reference books eventually became out of date. I want a refund.
That's right. Okay, all right, hold on. So I'm keeping an eye on the time because I know you got some stuff that you got to get to. So I want to make sure I get a ponytail from you. Like you've been telling me some fun stories, but I want to hear like your favorite story from this experience. Good, bad, ugly.
Sure. It's not too long, but this is my favorite one. This is another line that I still use. So it was like,
you still. Oh, we didn't even talk about what you're up to now. Hang on. If it's not very long, I want to hear what you're doing now because it's like.
Sure.
So you pick the order you want to go in.
Yeah. So I've been in Portland for the last 4 years. Before that, I was in Asia. I was in Korea and Taiwan and China for 6 years teaching. And now I'm still working with them, Banyan Global Learning, making videos for audio video stuff for them. So I make like the stories they have in the books into audio stories, or we made a lot of music videos for teaching kids English. And
you're selling books still?
No. I'm just providing content for their books, creating their books.
You're creating content for people who sell books.
Well, I mean, it's the books. Yeah, sure. And yeah, making like music videos and songs for kids learning English. And I'm doing a lot of improv here in Portland. If you want to come to my show this Friday, brother, you can come along and see us.
You do comedy, like improv comedy?
Yeah. So I was going to say earlier,
way.
I probably know some of the people who you're working with. You know Zane Thomas at all? Have you done much out here?
I don't know him, but I know him personally, but he's been on mics that I've been at. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah. There's a lot of open micers, and Emily June. I know she does a lot of stand up too. She does a lot of open mics.
There was what's her name? Black woman. She's phenomenal. I thought she did some stand up.
Amani?
Amani. Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
She's really good.
We did like a set with her a while ago at a bar that ended up shutting down like the week after.
Yeah, she was like the top comic in Portland this last year. Was voted top comic in Portland or something.
Yeah, she does the Pass the Mic with Kickstand Comedy, which is who we do.
Good.
Yeah. Well, this Friday,
dude, we should. Yeah, I'm there. Just I have family over this, but you know what? Either way, we're doing comedy. So I mean,
so Instagram, Group Shower. That's our group. Group Shower PDX. So that's us. Check us out. And all y'all listeners, all y'all booksellers.
Yeah.
Group Shower PDX.
So, spelled just like group, spelled just like shower. PDX.
You got it. And then PDX. So that's cool. And then Shady Pines Radio is a radio station in town, like a independent radio station that I do a radio show with every week. I just finished my 100th episode. So give it up for milestones, baby. Yeah. We'll take a break for a bit. It's called the Soju Hour with Poor Boy. That's Sundays at 4. Shady Pines.
Visit your website. Can people go visit your website and stuff, or check that out?
Well, ShadyPinesRadio.com is like where everything is. It's not my website; it's the website of the station. But Sundays at 4 Pacific. That's when I do my show, and that's what I'm doing now.
That's awesome, man.
Thank you very much, man. And I'm sure, we should keep in contact because I want to see you do your comedy thing. I want you to see me do my comedy thing.
Do you want to go get a beer after this?
I do. I got rehearsal right now.
Wait, what do you for her? What do you for
improv? Yeah.
You rehearse for improv? Isn't that like the antithesis of improv?
My boy, there's much to learn. No, there's a lot to do. There's a lot of stuff to do.
Wait,
it's not just
learn me. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I know I am. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the people that make this show possible, the people that bring this show to you. These are people who all sold books, and we're here to give a quick shout out to them in a spotlight about their company and what they're up to. So if you're interested, or if after listening to this, you're kind of wanting to know a little bit more, feel free to click on the links below to connect with these people. These are from an excerpt I have with them from a podcast that I do on the side. It's called Executive Exercises, where we take all our sponsors and they come into a think tank and share some awesome ideas about how to grow their business specifically on different topics. Go check that out. But I pulled some of the comments that they had explaining what they do and who they're looking for on their companies. And so if that sounds like you, like I said, click below. Hope you enjoy. On a note from I'm trying to think, like if I was looking into this, and for people who are listening who might be like, hey, this actually, I want to learn more about this. What's the barrier to entry? Like maybe I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, that sounds cool, but I don't know shit about insurance. Like why would I want to go talk to people?
Yeah, the barriers to entry I think are really pretty low. Everybody would probably have a different opinion, but in terms to just be able to get out the door and go sell, you've got to get a license. I have my life and health license because you needed the health license at Family Heritage, or if you want to sell Medicare products or certain types of health products, right, you have to have the health side. But what it takes to get either one or both of those licenses is roughly the same. You take a study course. You may need to study for 15 hours. You may need to study as many as 30 hours. But like with Cardinal, we've got a pretty cool course. From studying to getting your license can be as quick as like 7 to 10 days if you really 15 to 20 if you're moving at a medium pace. And beyond that, if it takes you longer than that, you're just not really all that motivated to start because it's not a difficult process.
Yo, let's get off schedule one last time. Go watch a movie, or maybe you should figure out how to work at EnLight.Energy. Alex Black is crushing it down there, and a former DSM, Julio Hernandez, are both running this company. And man, they are cranking 10 people on their team and growing. It's enough that Alex only has to sell like one thing every other week and make over 6 figures. So if you want to learn more about that and maybe help change the planet, click on the link below. That'll do for now. Like I said, make sure you click below to get some more information. And now back to the show. Learn me about this. I've never, so just so for people know, comedy has many different branches. One is stand up, which is like pre-planned, written out jokes, and another is obviously improv. I always say improv is just like show up and do your thing. Or do you rehearse?
Well, just like stand up comedy, there's sort of a lot of like tenets to it. Like with comedy, generally you don't just like tell funny stories that happen. You sort of set up a premise of like you relate to the audience. Hey, this is kind of a strange thing, right? It's as if and then that's when you create.
What's the matter with cell phones or whatever? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So same with improv, like the setting your base reality so people know where you are, knowing what kinds of ideas you can follow. And we do long form improv. It's not like Whose Line Is It Anywhere, like short form games. It's like long form, so usually a half hour, and there's many different formats you can do, like a herald, which is like you do a scene, then you do a break, and then you do 3 scenes that are analogous to that one, and then you do another group game, and then you do a third montage. There's a lot of things.
Is it a lot of crowd work? Sorry, I'm just like really.
No.
I mean, I love it. So how do you? Oh, okay, I understand. This is sweet.
No, you don't. You just want me to stop.
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. So it's kind of like Second City in a way, where you're like, it's like you're responding to the other people on stage rather than the audience. Is how you're doing it.
Yeah. I mean that's your yeah.
So say more right now. Please say more. I want to hear more about this. I'm a comedy
about
supporter.
Improv.
Yeah,
sure. So the 2 like main schools in Portland that are doing improv are Curious Comedy and Kickstand Comedy, both of which do a lot of stand up too. If you ever want to check those out. Yeah. So I've gone through the program at Kickstand, and they're a bit more up and coming in Portland. Like they've got everything going for them, like just good philosophies, good crew. They just don't have a place yet. Curious Comedy's been around since like 2009, so a little longer. They've got a beautiful space on MLK Boulevard, right by the Trailblazers
Center,
Boys and Girls Center. But
yeah,
like they're I think there's some struggling going on with like the infrastructure. I think I don't know. They just have like less shows and less opportunities for people to perform.
You said 2009, so 8 years after 9/11.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, all y'all, 8 years after 9/11.
Got it. An 8-year-old after 9/11. Got it. Just making sure we're on the same page.
Say more about 9/11, Lucas. But yeah, there are 2 schools that teach mostly improv, but they also do sketch and stand up. And with Curious Comedy, we do shows with them like once a month or so. And with Kickstand, we're doing our first show with them Friday, my group and I. And we're getting better. We're looking forward to it. We're just looking for more opportunities to perform, and it's been fun, man. It's this is something that I've stuck with for a while, and I've gotten better at it. I've seen myself grow, which I really like. I used to think I just wasn't very good at it, but that's because I never tried too hard or went beyond like intro classes. Sure, so it's a good time.
And plus, everything at the beginning is hard anyway, so you might as well just go for it.
I always felt really good in the beginning. Like I do real well at the part that like I used to kind of like charm and fake your way through. And then when you actually had to learn about it, I would like just turn away, but not this time. But check it out, man. So cool. I definitely was to you.
No, I'm coming.
Right on.
This Friday. What time this Friday? Maybe I can figure out a way to make
this Friday at 7 p.m. at the Honey Latte Cafe, which is down like the inner southeast. I'm
on 12th and Hawthorne. I know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, right by the Hawthorne Asylum food courts.
Yeah,
you're right there.
I can probably kick a soccer ball from here to there.
Right on.
Because I play soccer. Yeah, we're like at the north quarter of Lads Edition, just next to upper left by Teote.
Yes, exactly, man.
That's where I'm at right now. That's awesome. I'll try to make it there. I have family here, so I could try to make it out there. So maybe we can literally make it right there. Amy just put on the chat. That's right by your house. That's literally right by my house.
Hi, Amy.
Dude, that's so cool. I mean, let's connect after this because I want to get more involved in this community, right? I want to get more involved in this comedy scene and
good
find
community,
a way to make
man.
It work here. Yeah,
right
I know the people are really great. Some of the mics are not, but it is.
I bet. I've been to like the open mic at Kelly's Olympian a few times, and I've been like, whoa, they let anybody.
By the way, great wings at Kelly's Olympian.
Cool really?
Nice little dive. Well, it's not a dive, but you know what I'm saying.
What would you say the best wings in Portland?
Honest, they don't longer have them. Everybody thinks Fire in the Mountain. That's not true. Fire in the Mountain's wing size are like they're like Tic Tac wings.
Whale wings, yeah.
Up until recently they got rid of them, so I don't even know what I would say now. But before it was a place called Loyal Legion on it's in the just north of Burnside, like on it's Beer Hall, like 7th, and I think that's Burnside, right next to that.
Is the place gone or the wings are gone?
The wings, I no longer serve wings, but the wings, dude, the size, that chicken must have done squats or like bench press because there was a lot of meat per wing. What I used to do, actually, New Seasons has the Fire in the Mountain sauces on it.
Oh, really?
That they sell the sauces. So what I would do is I would just get the wings from Loyal Legion, go buy the New Season sauce, bring them home, throw a little bit of them on them, throw them on the air fryer for like 5 minutes, get them real crispy. Oh, bro, that was
nice.
That was the move.
I like that.
But then the Loyal Legion stopped carrying them, and I was like, this is some bullshit. So now I don't know. What do you think the best wings are?
It's tough, man. I know this is not very popular, but like if you like them bulky, I mean, Buffalo Wild Wings serves them they're very hit or miss, but they're very bulky there.
I'm gonna retry again. As a Portlander, you can't give me a chain name.
But tell me somewhere that's better then.
I don't know. The Kelly's Olympian wings are pretty good. I will say they're nice. Okay. If you haven't had them, they actually meat. To me, a wing has to have meat. The Fire in the Mountain wings are so small, dude.
I agree with you.
24 of them for $30, and you're still hungry.
Yeah, I'm enough into this where I don't have any shame saying, look, you have to at least respect the Buffalo Wild Wings ones. However, if I'm trying to be Portland, if I'm trying to say I know a place that no one else knows, if I'm trying to perpetrate that way, there's we are. Then there's a place called Jimmy's Sports Bar. It's on Multnomah. It's in Multnomah Village, and the flavor is nothing special, but they're big and meaty and like they're just good. They're good everything. The consistency is good, kind of crispy, but I don't think they're not breaded. They're big. They're good. Kind of plain, but nothing fancy. But man, like during Wing Week, I went everywhere, and I was like, these are disappointing.
Trash. Yeah, they're not good. Also, you know what's really disappointing? And we probably lost everybody listening to this episode. This one.
Fuck them.
You know what's fuck them. It's our episode. The hamburgers here are not good. I mean, and I come from Nebraska, so maybe I'm a little bit, it's kind of like going to try to get kombucha in like Austin, what they think kombucha is. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I just come from a place where some of the best burgers in the world literally come from because it's just got amazing steaks and beef. And so I come from Nebraska and I get here and I'm like, I have not had a burger in Portland that I'm like, this is in the ballpark of greatness because Nebraska has some good burgers.
With wings and gyros. I'm very picky. Gyros. I'm picky. Like, man, this just doesn't cut it. This does. Burgers, like if this is the worst burger and this is the best burger, the amount of burgers in that cascade that I would eat is very wide. So I like burgers better than pizza because among the worst burgers, I'll still eat those. I still like them. So I'm not quite as a picky asshole on that.
Yeah, I am because I came from.
But I trust you.
My palate is just too refined in the burger space.
I got you.
Let them get away with it. I'll let them get away with pizza here because pizza's pizza, but burgers I have high standard. All right.
Right on. Do you got a favorite burger then?
In Portland or in general?
Yeah. In Portland, yeah.
The best burger I had.
McDonald's has the fire burger. Jack in the Box.
The Burgerville. Talk about Portland. I think the best burger I've had so far, because they have a lot of smash burgers here. It's kind of like their thing here in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, a way to sell you less meat for more money.
Yeah, there's a joint on like Stark and 11th that has it's like a food truck. For bang for buck, that was probably my favorite burger I've had so far.
Which do you mean the Smash Burger one?
Yeah, Smash
Burger. I live on Stark.
That cart. Yeah.
Oh, in that little parking lot.
Yeah, there's like a little cart. There's a bunch of graffiti stuff going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, Stark and what?
Like Stark and Cesar Chavez.
Oh, so you're a little bit more east. Okay, yeah, that's okay. Dope. I drive through there all the time. Awesome, man. Hey, we gotta go catch some beers, even if it's not tonight. We'll go. I'll try to make it to your show this Friday, but
take it.
But yeah, man. All right, okay. Now you can give me your ponytail. Let's just do this because you got a jet here in a couple minutes.
So I dig this one. So it's like beginning of sunset. You know, we're talking 5 o'clock or so. I'm in a pretty shit part of town. Climb up on this porch, and there's an old man. You know, not old man. He's probably like early 50s or so. Sitting on the porch, and he just looks destitute. Dirty white tank top, dirty shorts, open sores on his legs, just like a glazed over look, ratty hair. And I do my thing, I don't even remember the approach, but like quickly I suss out. There's no kids here to sell books to. So you got this? No, you got that? Okay. Well, you mind if I sit down for a bit? So I sit down on the porch because like I'm just feeling done. And he told me,
hey, you gotta be watching this on YouTube.
So
this is the first. We've seen a nipple on this show now. This is great.
Yeah. So I'm talking to him a bit, and he says, "Why don't you come by later? We'll get ourselves a 24-pack." And that's what I was like, I don't feel comfortable here. I was like, "Do you live alone here?" He said, "We'll be alone." And I was like, I don't really want to hang out. He said, and this is the best part, he said, "You come back later, we can celebrate." I said, "Celebrate what?" And he said, "Everything." And I was like, man, what a line, brother. And I kind of did that Homer Simpson, like just disappeared through the bushes thing. I got real creeped out by it for good reason. But that line,
good intuition. Man, good intuition.
That line of "come back later and we'll celebrate what? Everything." I was like, fuck, I'm keeping that one, man. I like that.
When's the last time you used that like it served you?
My wife. Or no, my wife's sister.
You're married?
Nah. I'm married to the open road, my brother.
That's great. Do you ever? Okay, last question. Do you ever tell people about this program that you did this thing, and they're just like, "What the actual fuck, Lucas?" Like, wait.
I mean, as deep as I generally will go into it is like, I'll mention when I sold books door to door, and then they're like, "What?" Like no one does that, and I generally don't go too much into detail of it because it's usually like on my way to say something, but. I used to more like when it was more part of like what I had kind of recently done. I would tell people about it.
Just after 9/11.
Just after 9/11. I remember on 9/11 when I saw all the news stations on there. I remember thinking, guys, we got to stay positive. We got to stay alert, alive.
What are the three positives? What are the three positives? Could have been more
guys,
buildings.
Laugh at the world. Laugh at the world. That's what OG Mandino says.
Well, I think could have been more buildings. At least it wasn't a train, and at least I wasn't on the plane.
Right there.
That reminds me of the Anthony.
Feel a neck, shake a leg. The what?
Are you Anthony Jeselnik fan?
Yeah.
He has a bit that's like, did you guys know my mom was supposed to be on one of the planes that hit the World Trade Center? I think.
Yeah. Oh, Anthony.
Oh man. Hey, why don't we just wrap it up here? What do you think? We'd love to have you back on at some point to just shoot the shit, talk some more about some funny stories, but I don't know if you have that many to tell. I would hope that you did. Hopefully we didn't get to all of them, and then we can have you back on here for some more fun.
If you start getting desperate for more content of people who sold just over 2 decades ago, then I'm your man.
If we're really short in that 2001 pool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, hey man, this has been a blast. I really appreciate you being on here. And listen, it's a refreshing take, and it's good to hear from someone who has a perspective that you have of your experience, because it wasn't all negative, it wasn't all positive, and really that's probably true for everyone, right? We've had people on here who were still drinking the Kool-Aid, probably snorting it, and we've had people on here who had a lot more negative stuff to say than you did, but that's honestly, it's their experience, and we can't invalidate that. So if this is how it went for you, I'm happy that that was what you experienced. It turns out that it sounds like you had a lot of takeaway from it, but looking back on it, there's things that maybe would have been different if you had known better. So
yeah,
thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being open about that. I really appreciate that.
Thanks for having me, Andres.
Yes, mucho gusto, Lucas Salazar. Yeah. By the way, was it really Thane or was it Zane with the lisp?
Thane was my field manager. Zane is the comedian I just told you about.
Okay, but the Thane, he didn't have a lisp. It was actually it was
Thane. Yeah, Thayne.
Wow,
I asked him, and he declined to have me give you his information to be on the podcast.
Oh, that's totally cool. Some people are never going to want to even be near us with a 10-foot stick or a.
That's
they
what
would
Robert
step
Hicks
back
would say.
4 times.
That's what Robert Hicks would say. Guys, after I tell you about this, you're either going to think it's the best thing in the world. You're not going to want to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
That sounds like an info session right there. All right, guys. My name is Andres Gamboa. I've been with Lucas Salazar. Thank you so much. Go check out some of his Instagram. Go follow him on. Can you throw it back up there on the screen, Amy? Group Shower PDX if you guys want to follow and support another book, man. And we'll see you guys on the next episode 202. If you haven't yet checked out 200 of our favorite ponytails, please go check that out. Peace out, everyone. Bye.
Love y'all.